The relief coordinator has warned that many people could die if the international community doesn't provide hundreds of millions of dollars in order to stave off a likely famine in parts of the Horn of Africa by the end of the year. Mark Lowcock announced that he was releasing $45 million from the UN Central Energy Emergency Fund to kickstart a preventative and early action response after drought-like conditions were experienced during what is that region's heavy rainfall period of April to June.
The worst affected countries, Somalia, Ethiopia and Kenya, as predictions of a good rainfall evaporated despite expectations of an above-average rainfall season.
What we're projecting now is really quite an alarming situation where Somalia, Ethiopia and Kenya will have a very substantial problem by the end of the year. And I'm particularly worried about Somalia, where by the end of the year, we think there could be 5.4 million people in dire straits, 2.2 million of whom could be in a really acute situation.
Lowcock says the aid agency drought response plans for the region require some $710 million for 2019, with a particular emphasis on Somalia, that in 2011 became and remains the only country to have experienced a famine in the 21st century. The famine in Somalia in 1992 killed 300,000 people and in 2011 cost 250,000 lives, with warnings here that acting early will also be less expensive. The UN's humanitarian chief says he can't imagine stakeholders and donors allowing his predictions to unfold.
I don't think the world wants to tolerate another famine in Somalia, and there's basically two choices. We can have a quick response now, which would be cheaper, reduce human suffering and more effective, or we can wait for a few months until we get all those horrible pictures on our TV screens and our social media of starving kids. I'm voting for the first response for obvious reasons, because it is cheaper, more humane and more effective.
Lowcock emphasized the need for systemic early action as global warming and climate change increasingly makes early warning systems critical.
In the past, what we were seeing was problems of the sort we've got now once every 7 years or so. It now looks to us as though this is a problem repeating itself every 2 or 3 years, and it's drought related. There's not really any question in my mind that these more frequent droughts, as well, by the way, as more frequent storms and cyclones and so on, are related to global warming and climate change. I don't think there's any question about that.
Ethiopia is experiencing its second consecutive drought season, while Kenya's arid and semi-arid regions were hard hit by a lack of rain during the wet season earlier this year. Sherman Brycepe's SABC News, New York.